o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order, and
Right.
I welcome everyone who is joining us today and wish everyone a very, very happy new year and a year that hopefully is going to make us forget in a positive way 2020. Public notice, please, Ada.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice has been posted at the board's office and has been emailed to the Department of State and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Holton,
Here?
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Here.
President Fiordaliso.
Here, thank you. And our next meeting, Ada, will be?
Our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, January 27 at 10 a.m. via teleconference. Details to follow.
Thank you. There will be no executive session today. And I also want to notify anyone that was here for item 2A that it has been deferred at the request of the petitioner, and it will be taken up at a future meeting. So 2A has been deferred. I do have some opening remarks, and I just want to go through them as quickly as I can, but some of them are very, very important. And as many of you know, we have been in discussion with the electric utilities regarding the rollout of advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI. AMI has the potential to help us reach Governor Murphy's goal of 100% clean energy by 2050. Has the potential. But we have heard concerns from the labor community about the possible loss of meter reader jobs resulting from the installation of AMI. We understand those concerns, and we strongly encourage all of the utilities to work with the unions representing these workers to ensure a just transition for meter readers as we go further and further toward AMI, whether it requires retraining or whatever. We would certainly not want to see these folks laid off or lose a job. I'm also pleased to announce a new series of quarterly public meetings designed to provide members of the public and interested parties an opportunity to speaking directly to the board. Commissioners on matters of public interest are always interested to hearing what you have to say in the public. It gives us, all of us, and I think I'm speaking for my colleagues also, all of us a different perspective many times. So it's very important that we hear from you. The first one is going to be on January 29 at 10 a.m. and obviously is going to be virtual. The topic of the first meeting, and this is going to be the format, so that we can hear as many comments as possible without jumping all over the map. So we're going to make each quarterly meeting focus on a specific topic. And the topic of the first meeting will be the state's electric utilities response to the tropical storm we had in August, where we lost power on 1.4 million customers, and the board's resulting comprehensive report. As you well know, our Division of Reliability and Security has prepared a report, and we will be examining that, and comments will be accepted from the public regarding that specific issue, that storm. These quarterly meetings, I think, will further increase the board's transparency and accessibility and give the public a forum where they can express concerns directly to all of us, which is especially important during this time of remote working. Those who wish to speak at the meeting on January 29 must register by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on January 22nd via our website so that we have an idea of who wants to speak. So it's very, very important to keep this date in mind. And if you want to speak, please go to our website and sign up. We also have one other thing that I'd like to mention, and I'm talking as a citizen of the United States of America, the son of immigrants. What happened yesterday was something that I never expected to see in my lifetime. It's only the second time in our history where the Capitol building was, quote, invaded, end quote. The last time that happened was the War of 1812. And not to make a joke, but contrary to public opinion, I wasn't around in 1812. So it was devastating to watch this. As our Congress met, and yesterday, I'm sorry to say, was incited by so-called leaders. And this incitement has been building for at least the past 4 years. And it's shameful that the world looked at us yesterday as just another third world banana republic, as one of those, pardon my expression, S-hole nations that was referred to by one of our leaders. Our Congress met for the constitutional formality of certifying the election results that have made Joe Biden and Kamala Harris our next president and vice president. Some leaders have refused to accept that and have incited violence where violence has no place. And it was obvious to me yesterday that the Capitol Police were outnumbered. And 2 days before yesterday, the District of Columbia's plea for National Guard assistance was denied. It was only approved yesterday. I think as American citizens, we have a right to know what happened and what happened with that security. As someone who has served in public office for most of my adult life, I am appalled and heartbroken to see one of our symbols of freedom desecrated in such an animalistic way. Our democracy is our most precious value. And for an elected official to willfully ignore it and incite violence goes against everything America stands for. I don't care what one's political beliefs are. That's none of my business. I know what mine are. And every American of goodwill had to be appalled yesterday to see one of the major symbols known throughout the world of freedom and self-rule was desecrated in such a willful manner. What happened yesterday goes against everything America stands for. Thankfully, our democracy is stronger than one person. We proved that on November 3rd, and we ultimately proved it again yesterday when our Congress members refused the attempt to overturn the will of the voters and certified the election results, which again is only a formality. I want to thank Governor Murphy for sending the New Jersey State Police, and my understanding this morning is that some of our National Guard will be going to the Capitol to join other law enforcement in protecting our elected officials, just like they do in those H-hole countries. On January 20th, we're going to have a new president and vice president because our democracy and our republic is stronger than any one individual or any one mob. And it brings to light every time when our democracy is threatened, when our republic is threatened. It brings to mind that democracy is not a spectator sport. People of goodwill and who believe in democracy must work at preserving and enhancing our democracy every single day. That goes for everyone who believes in the democratic process. Democracy is ours to protect. I thank you for your indulgence. And do any other commissioners have any comments?
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Gordon?
Thank you very much. I'm going to restrict my comments to subjects closer to home, although I certainly share the depth of your feeling about what happened yesterday. I just wanted to applaud President Bertoliso and staff for adopting these quarterly meetings. Any of us who have served at the local level or even higher have come to appreciate the benefits of meetings at which the public can just either vent their feelings, which I think has benefits, but also present their ideas. And I can tell you, I've just had the experience in my role as a member of the board of directors of New Jersey Transit in witnessing several months of public comments on a subject that elicited very strong feelings, namely a natural gas-fired microgrid in the Meadowlands. And we literally had meetings that lasted 6 hours because we had 75 people or more showing up virtually to express their feelings. And I raise this because I believe that over the course of those months, many of us really changed our mind on the approach we were taking, and or had some second thoughts and wanted to take a closer look at some of the issues that were raised by the public. So I think it had a very beneficial effect for the New Jersey Transit Organization. I think it'll have similar benefits for us at the BPU. It really, there are people out there who have expertise that our own staff doesn't have, or we should know how, it's a way of seeing how we're doing. So I really just want to applaud you all for adopting this. And, I think there are benefits for the board members with staff to have meetings at which we can just in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, have a debate on the issues and share and challenge each other and share our views. So I think this is a great move. So thank you for your indulgence of me. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Commissioner Holden, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, well, I certainly share your comments about yesterday. I think we also have to underscore the unacceptable behavior overall this summer, this last year. Protest is one thing. Violence is not acceptable. But more importantly, I wanted to just, as Bob said, say something closer to home. I want to congratulate former Virginia Commissioner Mark Christie. He was sworn in to the FERC yesterday, and we now have a full complement. And I think we're going to have a kinder, gentler FERC that we can work with. That won't be it will be a little more amenable to our hearings and rehearings and issues that affect New Jersey, in particular our SEAM issues. So there's something bright on the horizon for us in 2021. Thank you.
I sent Commissioner Christie a congratulatory note yesterday, and I too am optimistic. I think he's a reasonable fellow. I dealt with him extensively as in OPSI, and I think we're on a good road as far as FERC is concerned at this point. Any other commissioner?
Yes, Mr. President, I think I want to wish everybody a very happy new year. I said ditto to all your comments and other commissioners' comments. One thing with respect to the advanced AMI, advanced meter infrastructure, probably listening to the labor's comments, I think we should insist on the utilities having a transition plan, a plan where, with respect to workforce, trying to make sure that they have a orderly transition, so that way they are cross-trained for other jobs, and so people do not get adversely affected. Thank you.
Thank you. What else? Yes,
yeah.
Diane.
Yeah, I share with you the horror and frustration of what occurred yesterday, and agree that there are basic principles by which we all live, and regardless of the reason or in response to which speech one commits violence, it definitely should be condemned, whether it is what happened yesterday at the Capitol, looting that happened throughout the summer, or when shots were fired on a ball field and seriously injured a congressman. Reactions to such speech are never should be tolerated. It should be condemned, and until we can all agree on the equal and consistent response to those type of actions, I'm afraid we will have no peace. So my hope is that we can reach some accord. My fear is that in response to that type of speech, which we condemn and do not agree with, the answer is not less speech, but more speech. And I hope that our speaking out today will be an indication of the right way to address these issues.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, we're going to proceed now with the regular agenda. There are no items under audits, and that brings us to energy and Stacy Peterson.
Mr. President,
You want to start with 2A, which has been deferred, so we're going to go to 2B?
Go ahead, Ada.
Mr. President, may I present the consent agenda?
Oh, well, if you want to.
Thank you.
I see, I got so carried away today. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do we have a
Thank you.
consent agenda, Ada?
Yes.
Yeah, so why don't you present it already?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll make it short and sweet. There's only 2 items. Of the
Okay.
following consent agenda items, 2A and the minutes for the October 28, 2020 agenda meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Ada, and thank you for the reminder. As I said so astutely, 2A has been deferred. So let's go to 2B, Stacy.
All right, let's start with 2B. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Stace.
On August 5th, Atlantic City Electric filed a petition seeking approval to reconcile costs associated with the company's residential controllable smart thermostat program for the period June 2019 through May 2020, and a proposal to return all excess revenues as of June 2020 to customers through its 2021 non-utility generation charge filing. Additionally, ACE requested approval to terminate the rider regi tariff associated with the RCSTP rate component and eliminate the tariff. According to ACE, by refunding the excess program revenues through the NGC, the parties would be afforded sufficient time to evaluate the company's determination of the appropriate level of excess revenues and would provide that such revenues are returned to customers that supported the program. Following review of the petition and discovery, the parties executed a stipulation requesting the board approve the method to refund the excess revenues related to the program through the 2021 NGC filing. As a result of the stipulation, customers will see no change in their monthly bills. Staff recommends the board issue an order accepting the stipulation.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2C, Stacy, regarding a JCP&L matter?
On June 10th, JCP&L filed a petition seeking review and approval of its deferred balances and an adjustment to certain components of the societal benefits charge clause for calendar year 2019. JCP&L proposed no changes be made to the current board-approved rider, NDC, and UNC rates. JCP&L further proposed the revenues collected through its rider DSF be decreased by approximately $3.6 million on an annual basis. Following a review of the petition, the parties executed a stipulation seeking board approval of the request provided in the petition. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see a 15-cent decrease in their monthly bill. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation and directing JCP&L to file revised tariffs by February 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Second, yeah. This one's.
Okay, thank you. Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2D, a PSE&G matter?
Yes, on June 1st, Public Service filed a petition seeking authority to adjust its margin adjustment charge rate, which was established to ensure margins from non-firm transportation customers are credited to firm gas customers in recognition that both firm and non-firm customers should contribute toward the cost of maintaining the distribution system. In the petition, PS projected that based upon actual data through April 2020, the net MAC balance on September 30th would be an over-collected balance of $16.81 million and proposed to lower the existing credit. In November, PS updated the petition with actual information through September 2020, which supported a further reduction in the credit rate. However, since the updated information would result in a rate higher than noticed, the company did not request the updated adjustment. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow PS to implement the originally proposed MAC credit rate. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential gas customer will see an increase in their annual bill of $2.38. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing public service to file revised tariffs by February 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And 2E, again, PSE&G regarding a solar matter.
Correct. On June 23rd, Public Service filed their annual petition seeking approval of a decrease in its solar pilot recovery charge rate. In the petition, the company sought a decrease of approximately $2.4 million in SPRC revenues for the period October 2020 through September 2021, which was subsequently updated to reflect actual data through September and supported a slightly lower decrease. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow PS to implement a rate based on the updated information. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will experience a 32 cents decrease in their annual bill. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation and directing PS to file revised tariffs by February 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And 2F, another PSE&G matter regarding clean energy's future.
Correct. And before I forget, I would like to thank my staff for all of their work on this matter to reach a resolution that I think is going to be really beneficial to PSE&G's ratepayers. On October 11th, 2018, Public Service filed a petition seeking approval of a 5-year infrastructure investment program and an associated cost recovery mechanism, wherein PS would deploy advanced metering infrastructure throughout its electric service territory. By order dated October 29th, the board retained the petition and designated Commissioner Holden as the presiding officer. On April 1st, 2020, Commissioner Holden issued a pre-hearing order setting forth a procedural schedule and ruling on motions to intervene and participate. On April 1st, 2020, PS also filed an amended petition wherein the company proposed an estimated investment of approximately $714 million, plus an additional $71 million for O&M costs. PS sought to defer the undepreciated cost of legacy meters at approximately $216 million as of December 2019 as a regulatory asset to be recovered over a fixed 5-year period following the company's subsequent base rate cases. Following extensive discovery and settlement conferences, the parties have reached a stipulation in this matter. As part of the settlement, PS will invest in the accelerated deployment of AMI and defer all costs of the program as a regulatory asset, which will be reviewed in PS's subsequent base rate cases. For previous stipulations, PS will file its next base rate case no later than January 1st, 2024. Customers who choose to retain their existing meter will be subject to a $12 monthly meter reading fee. Additionally, there will be a one-time $45 fee for the removal of an AMI meter and the reinstallation of a conventional meter at a customer's request. PS will provide testimony and actual cost information for these fees in their next rate case, at which time the fees would be subject to review and modification. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation, and staff also recommends the board direct staff to address data access issues associated with AMI within a separate docket.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes.
Stacy, thank you very much for all the hard work you and your staff have done. In terms of the education, there is an opt-out fees of $12, and so which is can add up over time. And so probably, as I mentioned to you earlier, we need to insist on proper education, the customer education. I guess trying to take out all the disinformation that people are basing their decision to opt out, and it will be in their benefit to make sure that they don't opt out for the wrong reasons. So I just wanted to, we should insist that utilities have a good education program so that way customers know what exactly they're doing.
Yeah, and we've discussed that with PSE&G, as we did with Rockland when Rockland rolled out their AMI a few years ago. The customer education piece is critical to making sure customers have the correct information to make their decision. And what we learned with Rockland was that customer information, when done correctly and at the appropriate times, did actually result in customers no longer choosing to opt out. So we have discussed it with PS that they need to roll out a very good customer education program with it.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Stace. All right. Any other
Commissioner,
questions? Yes.
President
Hold-
Fiordalisa, I want to say what a great job, Stacy, you have done with your staff. And this was back and forth and back and forth. There are a lot of moving parts in this one. And you know I like to keep on schedule. But not only a special shout out to your team, but also to Heather Weisband and to DAG Michael Beck. I'll tell you, there are two people. If I have to go to court, one of them is going to represent me. They just were terrific in this and by pulling this all together. Just one question for the record. We had that ill-timed work session on data in the midst of this hearing, but I just want to make sure that work session doesn't count as the prescribed stakeholder meeting that's mentioned that we are ordering.
No, you're correct. It is not. It was just a work session to put information out there. Staff intends to do a full stakeholder process under that docket, but not that work session was not the end of that.
Great, thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a comment on
Yes.
the data access as well, because if we are going to achieve the full benefit of AMI, the data access is a huge piece of that, and that proceeding is going to be very important to the board and all those interested in seeing that AMI reaches its full potential for the ratepayer and not just the utility is achieved. So I'm glad that we're moving forward with that proceeding.
Good. Thank you. Yep. Any other comments? Roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordalisa.
Yes. 2G, South Jersey Gas. Stace?
Yes. On November 19th, South Jersey Gas filed a petition seeking approval of a proposed infrastructure investment program, including an associated cost recovery mechanism. The proposed IIP consists of a 5-year program designed to modernize and enhance the safety and reliability of its gas distribution system by replacing its vintage and at-risk facilities, including the replacement of 825 miles of mains in South Jersey's distribution system and the installation of excess flow valves on new service lines. The projected total expenditures associated with the proposed IIP are approximately $742.5 million, and as well as the cost of an independent monitor, which South Jersey proposed to recover under a proposed IIP rider over the 5-year program period. Staff recommends the board retain this matter for hearing and designate a presiding commissioner. Staff further recommends the board set a bar date of January 27th for the filing of motions to intervene and or participate, and for the admission pro hoc VJ.
Thank you. And Commissioner Solomon, would you like to be the presiding commissioner?
I would. Thank you very much.
Good.
And
Any-
I'll move it.
Thank
Second.
you. Second. Any comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Stacy, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
You have a good one. There are no items under cable television or telecommunications. That brings us down to water. Michael?
Good morning, Commissioners. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Michael.
This matter involves Atlantic City Sewer Company's annual PSTAC filing or Purchase Storage Treatment Adjustment Clause filing. Atlantic City Sewer filed a petition seeking to increase its PSTAC on September 24th, 2020. The matter was transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law for hearings and was assigned to Administrative Law Judge Tricia Caliguire. ALJ Caliguire presided over 2 virtual public hearings on December 17th, 2020, one at 4:30 p.m. and another at 5:30 p.m. No member of the public appeared at either hearing. Discovery was conducted and settlement discussions were held. As a result of those discussions, the parties, petitioner, rate counsel, and board staff entered into a stipulation that resolved all issues. ALJ Caliguire issued an initial decision on December 28th, recommending that the board adopt the stipulation. Stipulation agrees that petitioner's current rates should be adjusted. As a result of this adjustment, petitioner cut the bill for an average residential customer using approximately 9.3 thousand cubic feet of water annually will increase by approximately $27 annually. Staff recommends that the board adopt the initial decision.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
There are no items under reliability and security, no items under customer assistance, and that brings us to clean energy and 8A, and I think Scott Hunter's going to do 8A for us. Is that correct, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Mr. President, Commissioners.
Good
On
morning.
this matter, on April 9th, 2020, Mount Olive Solar submitted its application to the board to have its project certified as being located on a properly closed sanitary landfill pursuant to the subsection T of the Solar Act. This is a solar electric generation facility proposed in Mount Olive Township, Morris County, New Jersey. The applicant's 28 megawatt DC project is proposed to be located on 65 acres of land controlled by Gold Mine Road Solar and on 149 Gold Mine Road in Mount Olive. On October 14, 2020, the board conditionally certified the solar electric generation facility for transition renewable energy certificates proposed to be located on the Comeville North landfill pursuant to subsection T. Subsequent to the issuance of the board's order on October 14, the developer and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection identified inaccuracies in the conditions adopted by the board for the project to attain TREC eligibility. Specifically, the DEP informed the board that its advisory memo of August 26, 2020, incorrectly assigned responsibility for the assessment and maintenance of a methane venting system and renewal of air permits and the payment of outstanding renewal fees to the developer. On December 8, 2020, the DEP issued to staff a revised memorandum that corrected the erroneously assigned responsibilities from the earlier memorandum. And based on the revised memo, staff recommends that the board issue an order that incorporates the revised DEP condition that the developer comply with the terms and conditions of the June 9th, 2020 administrative consent order that was entered into between the developer and the DEP. Staff recommends that the board remove from the developer the responsibilities for the assessment and maintenance of the methane vending system, the renewal of the air permits, and the payment of the outstanding renewal fees, as the DEP confirms that it has assumed those responsibilities. Further, staff recommends the board direct Mount Olive Solar to submit an initial transition incentive program registration package within 14 days of the effective date of this order, in accordance with the rules for the SREC registration and the TREC registration programs. Staff also recommends that the board directs staff to issue a full certification to the project upon the applicant's demonstration that all the requirements for full certification, including all the NJDEP requirements and all the TREC eligibility requirements for full certification, are met and have been satisfied, provided that the project commences commercial operations within 2 years of acceptance into the transition incentive.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott?
President Fiordaliso?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say it's nice to see this sort of wrap up the landfill north here. For those of us who are elected officials in Morris County, we know what a headache Combe landfill has been, and many lawsuits and other disputes. And it's nice to see something useful being done with this land and hopefully bringing this to conclusion. Can't wait to see what goes on with the south portion.
Good. Good. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
That brings us to 8B, Ariane, the capstone report.
Yes,
There
good
you
morning,
are.
commissioners.
Good morning.
So, Mr. President, commissioners, early in the Murphy administration, the governor and the legislature recognized the need to address the relatively high cost of solar incentives driving solar market development in the state, and responded with specific directives to the board in the Clean Energy Act of 2018. One of those directives was the issuance of a study on how to modify or replace the SREC program to encourage the continued efficient and orderly development of solar renewable energy generating sources throughout the state. In coordination with Cadmus Group LLC, the board's consultant, staff engaged stakeholders in a public proceeding consistent with the provisions of the Act, convening 14 stakeholder meetings, issuing 2 surveys and several staff straw proposals, and conducting a series of focus groups to discuss and gather input on alternative solar incentive program design options, successor program goals and objectives, New Jersey Class 1 renewable portfolio standard cost cap implications, data availability, representative project level financial model assumptions and inputs, representative project level financial needs, and preliminary results and findings. On August 11th, 2020, staff released the draft capstone report produced by Cadmus, documenting its findings from the stakeholder discussions, focus groups, data collection, cost cap analysis, and modeling of representative project level and aggregate market financial requirements. Stakeholders were requested to provide comments on the draft capstone report by September 8th, 2020, and invited to participate in 2 virtual meetings to ask questions of the consultants and learn about the data and modeling underlying the recommendations. That stakeholder feedback was carefully reviewed and incorporated into the final capstone report by Cadmus where relevant. Staff is now recommending that the board authorize the release of the final capstone report. If so authorized, staff will post the report to the BPU website and the New Jersey Clean Energy Programs website, and the board secretary will send a copy of the report to Governor Murphy and to the legislature. It is important to note that the capstone report and underlying analysis should be considered as guidance only, and that it does not bind the board in any way on the development of the successor program or related incentives. All results should be considered within the context of the report and taking into consideration the many assumptions that were used in modeling. As a consequence, in addition to recommending the release of the report, staff is also recommending that the board direct staff to initiate further stakeholder proceedings on the design and implementation of the successor program, informed by but not bound by the conclusions of the capstone report, as well as accounting for the recent extension of the federal investment tax credit at 26%, which will prove, we anticipate, cost advantageous for New Jersey ratepayers.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? I have just a couple of comments regarding that. Accepting the Cadmus capstone report is an important step within the larger context of the solar transition. Replacing the SREC and the TREC programs with a new long-term solar incentive. And I remember, and Scott will back me up on this, when we went into the SREC program, Scott, I guess that's 12, 14 years ago. And the fights, well, I shouldn't say fights, disagreements that ensued from that period of time, and trying to get it through, and so on. And here we are going into soon another program. However, it is far from being the last step in the process, and we have to remember that. It's an ongoing, evolving situation here in trying to minimize the effect on the ratepayers. This report will be posted on the BPU website, as Ariane indicated. As part of the development and successor programs, we are directing staff to initiate further stakeholder encounters, as Ariane indicated, which again is our effort to be as transparent as we can legally be, and really taking in the information from stakeholders and moving along in a partnership way, never giving up our statutory responsibilities, but accepting, as Commissioner Gordon indicated with our quarterly meetings, accepting more and more input from our stakeholders. We don't have all the answers. Collectively, hopefully, we will. We encourage all interested stakeholders to stay tuned and to sign up for the solar listserv, through which they will receive all the latest updates. And that's very important. Be part of the listserv, see what's coming out, be a part of it. If there are no other questions or any other comments, we'll have roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And thank you, Ariane. We go to 8C, and Mr. Ferris, apparently it has something to do with wind. Jim?
You're
Jim,
muted.
you're on mute.
Doesn't show he's on mute.
No sound.
Jim, can you hear us? Shake your head if you can. Okay. Why don't you sign off and sign back in? Something's wrong with your, okay, we'll wait for you. We're not going anywhere.
The Russians could be hacking. I don't know.
I think that's probably right, Commissioner.
I think it's the Chinese.
You think it's what?
I think it's the Chinese. We always.
Oh, okay.
The
Could be
Russians.
the Iranians too.
The
Who knows?
Iranians. There you
Right.
go. Yeah.
Could be 102 different people. Who knows?
Can you
All
hear
of
me
them
now?
together.
Yay!
Yes.
Apologize for that, commissioners.
No apology necessary. It was nice not hearing. I mean, it was nice to hear your voice.
Well, with that, then I will proceed, if I may.
Yes, you may.
This item is a request from staff to the board to authorize the release of a request for quotations developed by staff to retain a consultant to assist staff in working with PJM as part of the Regional Transmission Expansion Plan, or RTEP process through the state agreement approach, or SAA, for offshore wind transmission solutions. In conjunction with the board's approval of the Offshore Wind Transmission Initiative in its November 18, 2020 order, staff is engaging with PJM to develop potential transmission upgrades to support the injection of 7,500 megawatts of offshore wind into the New Jersey transmission grid as part of an SAA. To accomplish this goal, PJM will be incorporating New Jersey's offshore wind public policy requirements into its 2021 RTEP and will work with staff and transmission developers to solicit a suite of options for the board to formally consider. Staff seeks to retain a consultant for the following tasks related to these goals. Assist staff in the preparation and review of documents required for the RTEP process and the SAA. Assist staff in stakeholder engagement. Assist staff by conducting an independent review of all submitted proposals. And provide recommendations to staff on the most efficient or cost-effective transmission solutions resulting from the RTEP process and the SAA, if any. Staff expects the consultant or team of consultants to have experience in the offshore wind generation industry, onshore and offshore wind transmission, coordinated offshore wind or transmission first transmission solutions, including offshore backbone transmission facilities, shared interconnection facilities, and other similar options. The PJM RTEP process, the FERC Order 1000 process, transmission expansion and development in PJM, engineering and technical considerations related to PJM RTEP planning, including power flow modeling and analysis of RTEP base cases and solicitation window cases, cost development and estimation for large-scale competitive transmission projects, environmental and constructability analyses for transmission projects, including state and federal permitting expertise, and stakeholder engagement. Staff recommends that the board authorize the release of the request for qualifications for an offshore wind transmission consultant.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Before we take a vote, I just want to mention one thing regarding consultants and what we've been doing. The reason sometimes we need consultants is because we don't have the expertise on staff, or we just don't have the people power to move certain things along. As you well know, we all know that we have an awful lot on our plate, and sometimes we need that outside assistance in order to get us through the process, whether it's wind or some other topic. That does not mean that we're not out there trying to hire people. It's an everyday proposition to bring more people on staff. But as we also know, if we don't get people who are well versed in certain subject areas, the learning curve is steep. And for most of us as commissioners or staff, or even the general public, it takes us a while to get up to speed. So that is the need, or that is the reason, or those are the reasons that we need many times consultants to come on board. We actively are out there recruiting people, stealing people from other places, whatever we need to do. And but I just want to make that clear. It's not because we're consultant crazy or we don't want to do the work. We know what our staff does on a daily basis. And I've said it before, we have the best staff in state government, but it's because we need the assistance. We need the help. So as we continue to hire, and this has been a 3-year crusade on my part. As we continue to hire, there will be less need for consultants, but we're not there yet. Any other comments?
Yeah.
President?
Oh,
Yes, Diane.
yeah. You know, with respect to consultants in this particular issue and for this particular subject matter, I think it is incumbent upon us to engage expertise. You know, we're not to use a pun, wading into waters that really need some specialized background and information. And one, I'm pleased that we're going to have someone assisting us and guiding us in the interests of New Jersey as this process moves along. And far be it from me to tell PJM what to do, but I hope they too will engage consultants in areas that I in the past they have said where they don't have sufficient staff to address some of these issues, because for them it's also going into an area where they have not treaded before. So I think that would only be beneficial to all involved in this process.
Good, thank you. Bob, you had something to say?
Yes, I think this is going to be a particularly challenging consulting project. Just listening to and reading about the different areas of expertise that we need on this project. We need an organization, for example, that not only understands the nuances of PJM and transmission regulations in our geographical area, but also someone who has access to expertise on offshore wind transmission projects elsewhere, which means someone with expertise in Northern Europe. We may well not find that in the same organization, so there may be subcontractors required on this, which only heightens the project management challenge for us. I'm sure we're up to that. But this is just really a very good example of the kinds of very specialized expertise that one's not likely to find even among a group of smart people at the BPU.
Right. Good. Thank you, Bob. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And that brings us to 8D. Ariane, you're back up.
I am back up.
How about that? We're talking about community solar this time, huh?
Yes, we are. So by order dated October 2nd, 2020, the board approved the application form and process for program year 2 of the Community Solar Energy Pilot Program. On October 19th, 2020, Gable Associates filed a motion for reconsideration regarding several elements of this order. On December 16th, 2020, the board approved an extension to the review of the motion. Staff is now recommending that the board act on the motion. The motion first raises 3 issues that pertain to the pending proposed rule amendment on the potential automatic enrollment of community solar subscribers. Staff notes that this rule proposal is currently open to public comments through January 15th, 2021. Therefore, staff recommends that the board deny this portion of the motion and that these issues would be more appropriately considered in the context of the pending rule amendment. Staff recommends that the board direct Gable Associates to file comments following the normal rulemaking procedure. The motion details a 4th issue that pertains to the EDC's ongoing study of consolidated billing in the context of the pilot program. Staff recommends that the board approve in part and deny in part the movement's request. While staff recommends that the board deny the motion's request that the EDCs study one specific type of consolidated billing, as described in the motion, staff also recommends that the board clarify its directive to the EDCs to ensure that the EDCs lead a robust stakeholder proceeding that considers all types of consolidated billing and not solely a consolidated billing model based on third-party suppliers. The 5th and final point in the motion seeks clarification on how the program year 2 evaluation criteria for floating solar on former sand and gravel pits that have little to no established floral and faunal resources will be scored. Staff has consulted with our colleagues from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection on this question and recommends that the board approve this portion of the motion, specifically that the board direct that this type of project receive higher preference in the evaluation criteria citing category rather than the medium preference as it is currently suggested. In summary, staff recommends that the board approve in part and deny in part the motion for reconsideration.
Moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ariane. I just want to remind everyone that the deadline for public comment is January 15th, 2021. Instructions on how to submit comments can be found on the Community Solar webpage on the New Jersey Clean Energy Program website. We encourage all interested parties to submit comments. The board will carefully consider all comments prior to acting on the proposals. Also, as a reminder, the deadline to submit applications as participants to participate in year 2 of the pilot program is February 2nd, 2021. Staff is currently working on the online application portal through which applications will be accepted, and we anticipate that going live very, very shortly. Are there any other comments or questions?
If I may, Mr. President, I apologize. The deadline is February 5th.
5th, not 2nd. Okay, February 5th. Everybody got that? Raise your hand. No. We look forward really to receiving many strong applications. So please, those who are interested, go to the website for additional information, how to fill out the applications, how to respond, etc. We want your input. We want strong applications. We want to continue a strong community solar program. Any other questions or comments? Ada, if you would, roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, and I think, Ariane, you have 8E also.
Yes, just can't get rid of me.
No,
So 8E,
we're trying, but we can't.
one last one.
Okay.
Item 8E also relates to the board's October 2nd, 2020 Community Solar Program Year 2 application form and process. The Year 2 application form requires that applicants consult the hosting capacity map provided by the relevant electric distribution company to determine whether the map shows sufficient capacity available at the identified location to build the proposed community solar facility. If the hosting capacity map shows insufficient capacity, the application can still be submitted if the applicant provides either a letter from the relevant EDC indicating that the hosting capacity map is incorrect in that location, or an assessment from the relevant EDC of the cost of the interconnection upgrade that would be required to enable the interconnection of the proposed system, and a commitment from the applicant to pay those upgrade costs if the project were to be selected by the board. It has come to staff's attention that PSE&G is currently unable to perform the requested interconnection cost assessments for community solar projects. Following conversations with PSE&G and inquiries from developers, and in the interest of continuing to support the development of community solar projects, staff is recommending that the board waive the requirement that a Program Year 2 applicant must provide an interconnection study or other assessment of cost of the interconnection upgrade in order for its project to be considered. This waiver would extend only to Program Year 2 applications located in PSE&G service territory, where the hosting capacity map shows insufficient available capacity for the proposed community solar project. Where the hosting capacity map does show sufficient capacity available at the proposed Program Year 2 project site, applicants would still be required to provide a copy of the hosting capacity map, as is currently required in the Program Year 2 application form. Staff further recommends that PSE&G projects wishing to exercise this waiver instead be required to provide a letter explaining why the applicant believes that the proposed project is likely to be viable and feasible from an interconnection perspective. The applicant's letter should include quantitative and qualitative assurances that the applicant has considered anticipated interconnection upgrade costs for the proposed project and is prepared to pay those upgrade costs if the project were to be selected by the board. Staff emphasizes that this recommendation pertains only to the interconnection cost assessment required as part of the application form and would in no way impact or diminish any project's regulatory obligations to complete full interconnection studies in accordance with EDC procedures after projects are granted conditional approval by the board.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Ariane?
Yeah, just Mr. President.
Yes.
Ariane, what happens if you, during the project, you find out that the project is not viable or feasible? What happens? We just have a letter from the, about the interconnection of the EDC.
If it's discovered after the project is approved by the board, then the project at this time, I suspect that when all else fails, when all other recourses have been exhausted, the project can drop out with no penalty. We've had thus far 2 projects drop out of year 1 for reasons unrelated to interconnection, but it does occasionally happen. If it were to happen prior to the board's award of the projects, I anticipate that that would be a conversation that we would have with you commissioners in terms of whether to proceed with approval of a project that upfront we know that there are issues with.
So there's no penalty involved, yeah?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
Yes, Diane.
Yeah. What efforts are being made to improve the interconnection queue and review? Interconnection issues are always a sticky wicket, shall we say, for anything that's coming on to the system. What can we expect moving forward from the utility regarding this issue?
The order incorporates a recommendation, or the staff's recommendation to the board includes a recommendation that the board essentially put PSE&G on notice that this waiver would only extend to year 2, and that the expectation is that further coordination is important and required in terms of improving this process, not only for the community solar projects, but also for solar more generally. And it is an issue that staff is well aware of, and I think that will continue to gather increased attention from staff as it does from the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us, I think probably every commissioner has been contacted somewhere along the line regarding interconnection issues. So I just wanted to make sure we, continue to give our attention to it.
Yep.
President Verdelisa?
Yes.
And to that point, it is critical that this be a signal to all of the EDCs that we needed continually updated host and capacity mapping, which seems to be a breakdown, and we've had problems in other docketed matters regarding this. So that's something we've got to move toward, making sure that all of these are continually, it's a dynamic process, updated.
Both very good points, Diane and Mariana, and the utilities, the EDCs are constantly reminded, and it's part of this whole infrastructure initiative. We have to be able, or they have to be able to accept, if we're going to get anywhere near our goal, they're going to have to accept these interconnections, and they're going to have the infrastructure upgrades necessary to accept these interconnections. Otherwise, we're blowing in the wind here, and so on. And they understand that, and it is something that many of them are working on. One in particular in South Jersey has always seemed to have a problem, but with more and more solar coming online, all of them have the same difficulty to some extent. varying extents. But it is something that is, you're absolutely right, that is primary if we're going to be able to interconnect all of these projects. Any other comments or questions for Ariane? Roll call, please, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes, Ariane, thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to 8F. Kelly, I think you're up.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, oh, there you are. I'm looking for you. Yes, we can.
Great,
I can.
thank you. Item 8F relates to a memorandum of understanding regarding the use of funds generated by the societal benefits charge to support the development of the offshore wind industry through the construction of a manufacturing facility for offshore wind energy components at the port of Paulsboro. The state's energy master plan was released on January 27th, 2020, and set a goal of 100% clean energy by 2050 while outlining a strategy to expand the clean energy innovation economy in New Jersey through workforce training, investments in advancing clean energy, and the growth of world-class research and development. The EMP identifies the offshore wind sector to be central to accelerating the development of renewable energy and reinforces New Jersey's commitment to offshore wind.
Thousands of dollars over the next few years.
Executive Order Number 92 further expanded New Jersey's commitment by setting a target of 7,500 megawatts of offshore wind by 2035. Critical to the development of offshore wind and attainment of the sizable goal is the anchoring and growth of an offshore wind supply chain, including manufacturing within the state of New Jersey. Not only will this bring tremendous economic benefits to the state through jobs and supporting business development, it is expected to help reduce the cost of meeting our clean energy goals while accelerating the delivery of renewable energy. Staff believes that this MOU and the funding provided by the board will contribute to activities essential to positioning New Jersey as a hub for offshore wind and to support the development and delivery of programs and facilities that will bring additional jobs to New Jersey residents, as well as fostering economic development. Staff also believes that the development of this port for manufacturing could increase timely development of offshore wind in New Jersey, as well as decrease the cost for development of offshore wind due to the proximity of offshore wind turbine components to New Jersey projects. Staff proposes the board and the South Jersey Port Corporation enter into an MOU to support the development of critical, first-of-their-kind manufacturing facilities to support New Jersey's growing offshore wind industry. The MOU will enable the transfer of $1.8 million in funding, which will directly aid in the development of the Paulsboro Port Marine Terminal. Staff recommends the board approve the terms and conditions of the MOU and authorize the execution of the MOU by the president.
So moved.
Second.
This is a very important move, and I have no doubt that the creation of New Jersey's offshore wind industry will have this will help to lay the foundation for a prosperous and equitable future. And it is an economic injection into South Jersey. Investing in the construction of a manufacturing facility for offshore wind at the port of Paulsboro is critical because it's critical in the ultimate and potential creation of New Jersey, as Kelly mentioned, to become the supply chain for the entire East Coast. This is money well spent. In 2019, the board selected Ocean Wind as New Jersey's first offshore wind project for the economic benefits and supply chain development opportunities. I was privileged to go down for the ribbon cutting of this facility. With the ceremony, there really wasn't a ribbon cutting to announce this. And it really is something that is so important to the South Jersey economy and to the economy of New Jersey generally. So I am the Paulsboro Marine Terminal in Gloucester County is the largest industrial offshore wind investment in the United States to date, and will create more than 500 high-paying jobs at full build only, a bright spot in these challenging economic times. We continue through clean energy to help enhance the economy of the state of New Jersey. And that's something we have to keep in mind, I believe. That clean energy initially is expensive, there's no question. But let's also look at the economic benefits that we derive from clean energy as we continue to build a brand new industry. This is exciting. It keeps New Jersey in a leadership position, not only nationally, but internationally. Our European friends are so helpful, and we work closely with them to ensure the fact that offshore wind becomes that reality by 2035, and that the economic benefits to the residents of New Jersey are plentiful. So I'm really excited about this. I know the elected officials in South Jersey are excited about this, and I want to thank them, in addition to the governor, of course, for their constant support of the Paulsboro facility. They were very, very helpful in doing this. The Senate President, Assemblyman Berticelli, both extremely involved in ensuring the fact that this happened. So I want to thank them. I also want to thank, from the Attorney General's office, Darren Epley, for his opinion on this and his quick turnaround. So Darren, thank you very much for all that you do for us also. Any other comments or questions?
Mr.
Yes.
President?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to vote for this, but let me, I do have some questions, and let me preface them by saying, I think as most of you know, I've been a great supporter of the idea of developing a supply chain for New Jersey and for what I hope will be a mid-Atlantic offshore wind industry. I really believe that New Jersey can be the nexus, the hub of all that, with all the attendant benefits. You know, I do have some questions about this $1.8 million funding proposal we have before us. This project, the Paulsboro project, based on what I've read in the press, I believe is a $250 million project. And it just seems to me that $1.8 million is, I mean, it's not a make or break expenditure. It's almost an afterthought. And I'm wondering, do we know what these funds are going to be used for? I should tell you, I've read the MOU and the supporting documentation we received and see references to the development of this site. Can we feel confident that these funds are going to be dedicated to bricks and mortar and the building of this facility in Paulsboro?
Yes.
Okay. The other concern I have is related to the societal benefits charge. You know, I'm concerned that we may be establishing a precedent. Maybe we've already established that precedent of using SBC money for a particular project like this. Could we be creating a precedent for some proposal in the future that might want to use the SBC for example, EV charging stations that would benefit a private company? You are there some guardrails in place here so that we don't have to worry about sort of opening the floodgates of the SBC? And that may be a question for Darren or one of the lawyers.
Yeah, I think that is a question for Darren. If Darren wouldn't mind answering that, Darren. And of course, you got a copy, Bob, of
Yes, I
Darren's
have.
written opinion
Yes.
and so on. Darren, do you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. This is Darren Epley, Deputy Attorney General. We'll be glad to look into that for you, Commissioner. In accordance with this MOU, we look at the statute regarding the societal benefits charge, and those would be the guide rails of what would be eligible projects under the auspices of that particular provision authorizing the use of SBC funds.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Bob?
Not from me, thanks.
Yeah, Mr. President, I think
Yes.
in the previous administration, they had used the SBC money for paying salaries of park rangers. So it's within bounds, yeah. Now, my question is that in the MOU, Kelly, that within 90 days, they're going to provide, 90 days, they will provide an update. Because this MOU lasts 5 years, will there be more than that? Or that's one question I have.
Yeah, they're required to provide an update within 90 days, but then also quarterly reports or reports as requested by the Board of Public Utilities. So we would be able to continue to get updates on this.
Also, there's an opportunity for this port to be electrified. So that way, the electrification, so that way we can have the trucks that are moving in instead of being fossil could be electric vehicles.
Good thought to look at moving forward. Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Ada, roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Something very exciting as far as the Paulsboro project is concerned. And I believe it's good money that's being spent to enhance economic activity in the state of New Jersey. There are no items under miscellaneous, and before we do adjourn, I just want to mention again, those folks of the BPU family who retired at the end of December, and folks that have given many, many, many years to the service of the citizens of New Jersey. Jim Giuliano, who was our director of reliability and security. Jim served in state government for 41 years and is going off to a well-deserved retirement. We're certainly going to miss Jim. Jim, every conceivable event that we had in New Jersey, bad events, not good events, Jim was on top of. And so we're going to miss you, Jim, and we just wish you well. And you always have a home at the BPU. And then, of course, Yetta Summers, who spent 40 years of service to the citizens of New Jersey. And Yetta was in our Division of Administration, and she was our training coordinator. And Yetta is going to be missed. Just seeing her around. She added a great deal to our department, and we're certainly going to miss her. And she too always has a home here at the BPU. Long, healthy retirement, Yetta. And then we had Chris Molnar from Cable and Telecommunications, who was a short timer. He only had 28 plus years here at the BPU. And we want to wish Chris and thank him, first of all, for his service to the citizens of New Jersey, and wish him a long and healthy retirement phase of his life. And Chris, the door is always open to you. So anytime you get bored and you want to come in and volunteer your services, we're here. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for those who joined us today. And stay safe and take care of yourself and take care of one another. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.